In my videos, I talk a lot about NHLe and I put a lot of value into it, but it's not perfect. So let's talk about why that is. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the button. We're over the 585 that I wanted to hit for this month, so thank you so much. That's so cool. In my videos, I use NHLe a lot to kind of show how prospects are trending and what they've been up to as of late. And I also use it to compare and contrast prospects in the system. And well, it's not perfect. And that's what we're going to get to today in this video, is why NHLe isn't perfect. And first off, if you don't know what NHLe is, it's a stat that is used to compare and contrast players, or more specifically, used to estimate what a player's production rate would look like at the NHL level. I think that's the better way of putting it. What it would look like at the NHL level. So what it tries to do is say, okay, players put up 40 points at the SHL level in 30 games. What does that look like at the NHL level? And they do that for every single league in under the sun. And so with that, you can then compare and contrast players to say, well, this player is doing this NHLe compared to that player. And so you can kind of rank them in that way because they're being evaluated on the same criteria. And so that's why I use it. But there are problems with that, right? So let's get to that in this video. And now the first way I'm going to do that is I pulled every player that was drafted by the Islanders currently on their NHL roster. And what I did is I took their draft -1, draft year, draft +1, and +2 year, and pulled their NHLe for those years. And then I graphed them to show I ranked them, right? Essentially what I'm doing here with the prospects already. And I ranked them to show who's at the top and who's not. And then from there, you can kind of see like, well, there's problems there because some of the guys that are lower, didn't end up being as low as they are now. So let's pull up that graph right now. Now you'll see it's only forwards here. I should have mentioned that. I didn't bring in defensemen into this. That kind of complicates things a little bit more. So I just kept it to forwards. And you can see you got Josh Bailey right away, that green line, jumping to the top, exploding. Like he should be, if we saw that in our NHLe now, we'd be going, oh my God, Josh Bailey is going to be the best player in the world, or at least one of the best players on the Islanders. And while that's not necessarily totally wrong, he is clearly not above someone like Matthew Barzal, right? At any point was Josh Bailey better than Matthew Barzal, right? Because then you can see Matthew Barzal is that third line, right? That red line there below both he and Anthony Beauvillier. Matthew Barzal is a better player than both of those players combined, even, you could say. There's no question about that. But here he is ranked third. And then you've got Oliver Wahlstrom that goes up and down and all over the place, right? Because we remember what Oliver Wahlstrom's development has been like over the last little bit, right? Looked good at the USHL level, did not do well at the NCAA level, and was kind of slow at the AHL level. But there are reasons for that. It didn't go well at the NCAA level because the program wasn't great, and it didn't go super well at the AHL level in terms of production, because he was learning to do something else than just put up a bucket load of points. Otherwise, the graph looks pretty good, right? If you just consider the best players that the Islanders have drafted that are currently on the squad, you would say Matthew Barzal, Anthony Beauvillier, Oliver Wahlstrom, and Josh Bailey in some order, right? In some order. Josh probably last, and then you'd have Barzal, Wahlstrom, Bo, and maybe flip Bo and Wahlstrom depending on where you are in either one of those. But that makes sense with what we're seeing here with the graph, and then you have the other guys below them. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe you put Nelson over Josh Bailey, right? That makes a lot of sense as well. But that gets to the big problem with NHLe. It only looks at production and production rate. How many points per games played have you put up? And as we know, that's not the full context of hockey. Of course, that's the more important part, right? Putting up points and specifically goals is the most important part of the game because that's who decides who wins and doesn't. But there's more to the game than just that. And we know that. We all know that. And so that's the problem, the main problem with NHLe and why you see some of these fluctuations here. Because it's based entirely on production rates. How many points did that player score over X number of games? And so that's not exactly indicative of the quality of a player, right? A player brings a lot more to the ice than just that. This isn't a like, oh, you have to factor in intangibles. There's more to it than that. There's speed, there's passing, there's number of shots on net, there's dekes, there's transitions. There's so many more things that need to be compiled in that is not when it comes to NHLe. So when I talk about NHLe and I put it up there, I want you to take it with a grain of salt. This isn't the be all and end all stat to say this player is doing better than everyone else or this player will make the NHL because the NHLe is high. NHLe helps, but it is not the be all end all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And if you have, thank you, thank you, thank you.